Hi, Joe Cerrone,
And Al Rosen.
and we're here for our Zoom classroom meeting for CAD 134, Basic AutoCAD for Interior Design.
Joe, you
We
want to go over some chapter objectives, please?
will
Yeah,
do.
chapter 4 and 6.
So Al's gone through in his usual fashion and he's laid out the work. And so we're going to go through these chapter objectives from chapter 4. We'll go through the work. And then we will open things up for student questions. But the main goal of this recording is to post our weekly review. So chapter objectives. Let's make that big enough to read it.
Would be a good idea.
Chapter 4 goes through the use of text, and text is kind of tricky because it doesn't work like a word processor. It kind of looks like a word processor when you use what they call multi-line text or dynamic text. But text in CAD is oftentimes used for signage, room numbers, all kinds of things, which requires precision layout. You want the words for the room right in the middle of the sign, so people are somewhat picky about how text appears. And the way that the objectives are set here is that they go through the dynamic text, which is single line text, how to edit that text, how to align the text for fit, center, middle, right, top, and how to change the style. And then how to use these different text fonts. And they do that with the AutoCAD assignments for text. I'm going to turn off the grid here. And so you can kind of see that they walk you through how to use these different text styles. And you can see that this is a impact font. The text height is 1/4 of an inch. This is city blueprint. This is standard style with the fit option. And so as we talk about text, we want to think about it in CAD terms. So for example, text with the fit option, I can squeeze and it's still readable. I can also edit that text, and whatever text I put in here.
He double clicks on it to edit it, by the way.
Whatever text I put in a fit option fits. And so I often use that for title blocks when people need to fill in the information so that their name will fit. And it'll stretch it. If I make this smaller, if I just say, welcome, it just fits. And that's different from the align command, which will keep the text between a couple of points, and it will also keep the aspects of scale for the text without stretching it. So there's a number of different text options. You can overscore, you can underline, you can do vertical text, you can do upside down, backwards. So there's a lot of different options for us, but we don't want to go too far into it. Most of our work at this point is going to be concentrated on doing drawing work. Right, Al?
Yes.
And let's see if I can find the right browser. There we go. So that's our chapter objectives. If we go back to Al's layout, should we hit the PowerPoint next, Al?
Yes, sir. PowerPoint for chapter 4.
And you can help me walk through this.
Okay. Basically what we went over a couple moments ago with Joe. Goes over the text, how it looks, what it does, etc. like that. Shows you how to get into setting up text styles, and if you want to have oblique angles, what do you want to do into it? Sometimes you like to have more of an upside down, backwards, whatever you like to do, how to change the new font, change it. As you can see, that's what it was on the page. It shows AutoCAD page.
So on the annotate tab, if you hit this little down arrow, text style, you can see here's the standard text and the fonts that they chose. And then if you look at some of the other things that they've also chose, here's the city blueprint, here's the impact. And so just like in a word processor, you can name the style and then choose the font particulars.
If you click on new, word new on our right hand side, please, Joe.
Sure. And what new will do is it'll copy the old one. It'll ask you, so new. And I could say Al. And so Al can create a style of text however he wants it. We'll just go with, we'll go with something that looks like a tattoo. Maybe something like, I don't know. I was going to look for something that looked sort of interesting and different.
Pick something else up.
They all look alike to me after a while, these fonts. There's too many of them.
That looks good.
All right. Well, let's just take that.
Okay. Say
But-
that. Go ahead. Apply.
Correct.
And
And you
now,
can set the text height in here. If you want that text height to be 0.25 inches tall, you can set that. And then you can apply that and close it. And now when we use the font, you'll see that Al's style is active. I'm not sure why the text height isn't the same that I set it up for, Al.
that's
We'll have to take a-
Sure.
So as we use it, if I use multi-line text,
The ruler is set there so you can adjust it also. On the right hand side, there's a little arrow diamond shape. You left click on it, move it out. There it goes. You can move it out. And also there's a couple double left arrowheads on the bottom right hand corner, Joe. Bottom right corner. Grab that and bring that down. It will tell you the width, height, and you can make it wider if you need to. Now, if for some reason you need to change it, whatever else, let's go back into multi-line text one moment, please, Joe. Look at multi-line text.
sure, but remember we're recording this, so we don't want to go too far into it.
Right, but you can go to multi-line text and on the same thing. You have a right angle, you have a right thing. You can left click on it real quick and just stop right there for a minute. You can also arrow down and it gives you the same objects that you want to do. That's all.
Very good. So switching back to the PowerPoint, you can create these different text styles and you can set them up. As I was showing from the example in the textbook, you can have multiple styles. And the book really walks you through how to create all these text styles. Remember, it's not a word processor, but it kind of looks like one. So when you go into some of the control codes for special character, back in the day, we used to have to put %D to get the
Degrees.
degree symbol, thank you, or %U for underscore, and you would put it right before the word. It's just an 80s way to do the text. Nowadays, you can just pull things from the menu bar on the ribbon, and it's much more intuitive, but it's how it was developed. So again, you know, some of the formatting functions of working with text, you can have it justified. You can change the text properties. It has a spell checker, which is not a bad thing for both of us. And you can also put in tables, and we do a lot of tables when we do drafting. We have window schedules, we have door schedules, we have lists of furniture. You know, I want 10 of these chairs in room 232, and this is part number 123. And so it allows you to manage your furniture. So for people like facilities who manage, let's say the school, they have these tables that will list the furniture in the room or the computers in the room, etc. So we do use tables quite a bit. And they allow us to make these different types of schedules. But essentially, this chapter walks you through everything you wanted to know about putting text on the drawing. So that completes the PowerPoint for chapter 4. What's on here next, Dale?
You want to go to space planning, please. That's for chapter 4.
Let's make that a little bit bigger.
Run through some of that. That's your styles.
And so this really kind of mirrors the PowerPoint as we go through it, with sort of a recipe for creating these text drawings. And if you just follow the directions, you will have a drawing that looks just like we just demonstrated, like this. It's not required. We just wanted to demonstrate it because we've been doing the text codes for a long time. They're kind of, you have to work at them a bit. But as you go through and you work at it, you'll find that text is not just about putting notes on the drawing. It's also used for things like making signs. And so there's some precision to the location and the fonts.
Okay. That same thing going back all the way through. Let's go back to D2O, please. And now it says projects, questions, and answers. First, there's the questions for it. And the ladies are doing a great job handing those in. Thank you very much.
And they do a great job of just reinforcing. If you want to pick up a few commands every week, things like which of the following single line text options draws text between two clicked points. And so fit would do that, and so will align, but does not change the text height. Then it would be align because fit will stretch the text height. So we've been working these questions for a while.
Here's our first project.
Yes, and so as we start to lead into our next bigger drawing, we want to be able to add these symbols to it. And one of the things that we put a link in for was to put in, is to purchase a scale if you do not have one. You'll need an architect scale because the textbook author wants you to measure the drawings. And so he didn't really give us the measurement for this little triangle and this line and these things. So Elle and I will walk you through how to do this assignment. I'm going to go and bring this over to the side. Actually, I'm going to leave it there, and then we're going to go and open up the title block, right, Al?
Yes, go ahead. I was just going to say, just keep on going until we get done with the video, then we do that.
That would be fine. So as we look at it, we'll come back to that. But the assignment, after we do our quick review, will be how to draw this. And just to jump into it and then come back to it, what you're going to do is you're going to click on the B-size architecture paper. You're going to open that file. You're going to go to model space. You're going to enable the grid and the snap. We're going to zoom in to some convenient place on the screen like this. And then if we look at the drawing, if we start with something known like, let's say this 42-inch fan, because this dimension, this is pretty easy to do. So if we start with this 42-inch fan, what I would do would be to draw a circle here, and sometimes draw a circle with a diameter of 42 inches and then just sort of make it look right. Nobody's going to come in there and say, well, this fan isn't exactly the size, at least at this point. They might if it blocks something else. So as we look at it, what we would do would be to go to the home command, and then I would just draw a circle with a radius. Let's do a circle diameter so we don't have to do math. Center diameter, and that would be 42. And then if I measure that, that's the correct dimension. And what I'll do is I'll move this over. I didn't know the grid was this small. And what I would do here would be, I would draw a circle at the center of it, about like that. And then I would draw kind of a diamond shape. If I start here, what you want to do when you draw things like these fans is you want to draw them symmetrically. And so as I start to work with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just draw half of it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mirror that. And that way, everything will look very good. And then we can either mirror it again, or we can use a command like array. I like mirror because it's a little bit easier off the start. So if I mirror this, and then if I want to, I can rotate, and I'll probably lose it because not sure what happened there. Oh, I see it now. My mirror line was a little bit off. And then I can mirror that 2 more times. And then just remove the construction. And so this is our fan. We can go and put a text note on it if we want. If you just go right here, you can just use multi-line text, and then we can go and add that text. And that kind of gets you started on how to do that exercise. Switching back to our lecture. So this is the first assignment. You will need a scale as we get into it. We're not really so concerned with how these things are per size, but you want to keep them within the sizes that we were doing on the drawing, at least for things like the fan and for lighting. But little things like symbols like this, I think we'll be able to work with. All right. So that's the projects, Al. Was there any more in here that I need to go over?
No, that's tables. If you want to go over tables later on after we get done with the video, can you go back to D2O, please?
So just this one right here is the only drawing for that part of the exercise.
And that is also there. If you look at the on top is a Chapter 4 project, and it's Project 4-1 lighting. Click on it, and that's just that portion on it. So you don't get everything included, just a view of that.
Thanks, Al.
Now, Chapter 6, we can go over it now if you want to. We'll do it later on. It's up to you.
Did I skip this one right here?
No, you did it.
Okay.
If you click on the rotate through, there we go. And it's part of drawers, drawing doors, floor plans, windows. That's it.
Right. And some people might say, hey, what about chapter 5? we'll come back to that later. 5 is on printing in viewports, and at this time, that's we'll come back to that. So in 6, we use text, we use design center, and we use blocks, colors, lines, extend, hatch. Again, blocks are like templates, and so you don't want to draw everything more than once. It used to be you'd have these plastic templates, but now with the computer, you don't need to purchase those things. So as we go through, we'll continue to add to our collection of CAD commands like match properties, how to make an object layer current, but these should start looking a little bit familiar. Things like line weights, properties, rectangles, and arrays. Multi-lines are a way of drawing floor plans that allow you to put in like the wall distances. We don't really use them that much in the first class. As we get better with it though, and start getting into architectural desktop, yes, it's super good. It's very efficient. Super good's not the best word, but it's more efficient as we start to work with it. And you don't have to be really efficient, but you can be. And so multi-lines are set for doing things like floor plans. The list command will give you information about the drawing. And so we'll go into these inquiry commands and we'll be able to do things like list things, or what these are utilities. The color command is in the properties toolbar, and it allows you to override the layer properties for color. So if you come back and you select color blue on layer red, blue wins because the properties is stronger than the layers. Line weights, again, we're just setting up your style. As we work with the lines and the line weights, certain lines like wall lines will be a line weight of 0.6 millimeters or 0.5 millimeters. They're going to be according to standards, whereas things like dimensions or center lines or center marks are going to be 0.3 millimeters because you want your drawing to have that depth where when people look at it, they see the floor plan and then they see the dimension, not see a bunch of dimensions and have to look for the geometry. Object layers and being current, we want to follow layering protocols. Match properties is a great shortcut command. It matches almost anything with a name. And so you can match colors, layers, line types, dimension styles, text styles. It's a nice command. Making blocks allows you to create a symbol like I did for the fan and then populate it throughout the drawing. And so we can make a block from that fan drawing and then we can insert it. And so what we would do is on the insert tab under the block, we can say create block. And so we can create this block. I can call it 42 fan. Make sure you specify a base point, and you can specify the point by clicking pick point. And we'll pick that right there at the center of it. We'll select the objects. We'll hit enter. And then you'll see you get a little bit of a glyph. You can put a description on it. And then we can say okay. And then if we want to insert more of these, we can just insert this. As many times as we feel necessary. And you're able to scale it. If I hit enter, it'll go to the default of 1 and 1. And you can rotate them also. So as we start to work with blocks, you'll find there's a lot of really nice things you can do with them. W blocks, just write these files out. And one of the things that we're going to do in this exercise is to work with Design Center. And what Design Center has is a lot of blocks already made for you. So when we take a look at these objectives that Al's laid out for you, one of the things he's done is he's included these Design Center files. And so if I click on 2D Design Center, and I download that file and I open the file, and we look at it, and then we look at the home designer, you can see that we have the sink, or at least a sink style, a top view of this pedestal type sink. You have some faucets. You have some basic geometry so that your CAD people will all use the same fixtures when they do the design work. And so Design Center is kind of set up to automate the placement of blocks and symbols. And there's how to insert blocks. Annotative text. Al, do you want to say a few words about that?
Not yet. We're waiting until we get off of this video, and then we can show them how to use it.
Annotative text is kind of automatic scaling. It's a bit tricky to use, and we tend to just call out the sizes of the text in the drawings at this point. So talking about blocks and putting in one block and then having it count multiple times saves a lot of space. Here's our Design Center elements. And again, if you open up these drawings in Design Center, you actually can drag and drop them into the drawings. Autodesk Seek is sort of their new online way of being able to work with these drawings. And we're having a lot of people get hired by these online catalog CAD people now, because that's sort of the thing. If you provide the geometry, then the designers can use it in their layouts. And so it's just another way to get more content as the manufacturers make things available. And so that's the PowerPoint for Chapter 6. I'm going to return back to D2L, and Al, you can direct me to our next thing.
Okay, be Chapter 6, AutoCAD for Interior Designer and Space Planning. Questions and answers, please.
Would that be this link right here, or this one?
I was going to say the second one, but the first one is, if you hit the first one, go ahead for a minute. That basically covers what we just talked about right now. W block, it has a floor plan, which we're not doing at this present time. We'll do it later on.
Right, and so as we get into 6, it has some really great content, but we're not rolling that out yet. 6 is where you start getting into the projects of the book, and they have this tenant floor space plan, which is very good. It's a little bit cookbook approach though, which means you have to follow the directions by the words. And we haven't decided whether we're going to use this project or some of the projects at the end. Actually, we have. We're going to do the project.
-1 and then we go on to 6-2.
Yeah, we like to draw bathrooms. So we're going to draw the bathrooms from the end of the chapter. Now they walk you through and show you how to do that. Switching back. Let's go to our next one.
Go down to the next one, please. That's questions and answers. And it gives you questions and answers, and also the projects that we're talking about. But we also have a project cut out by itself. We'll show you where that is momentarily also.
So at the end of the chapter, here's our plans. And this is the project that we're going to do this week. So homework, Hotel Room 2 floor plan. It's just this small room with a bathroom. I did start some of the layout work on it, and we can talk about it. I added the credenza because we were talking about that prior to class. But straightforward detailed drawing that we'll put a video in for how to do floor plans.
You go back. D2L one more time. The wheelchair, that's the bonus points.
Correct. And so this is an additional assignment that's bonus. And then if we look a little farther in advance, we're kind of getting you guys ready to do some of these bigger floor plans. And so here's a commercial project, the bank floor plan. And then it has the elevations for the tellers, furniture. This is really a great project, but it's kind of big for our first one. So we may do the cabin, which is a little bit more modest, where we draw this floor plan, populate it with the different symbols. but we'll be getting into that next week. For this week, we're just going to look at,
The washroom,
yes.
right there, hotel washroom.
So switching
Go ahead.
back to the main splash page.
That's P12. And if you look at, there's chapter 6 projects, there's 6-1 and also 6-2 over there. And if you go up a little bit, so right there, click on, down, go further. Just move it. There you go, up, right above it. There you go. Click on that one. There's a PDF of it. And you can see exactly what we're talking about. You can blow it up and look at it as close as you can if you want. You can print it out. You can go back and click on projects and questions if you'd like to. The bonus is right next to it.
All right, so we've covered all the way down through pretty much top to bottom here, right, Al?
Right, and the only thing we have to do is talk about a little bit of Design Center. Joe showed you the 2-dimensional and also 3-dimensional right there also. The 3-dimensional has 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional Design Center. So the other one is 2-dimensional. It has a little less information to it, that's all.
And what's nice about what Al's done for you is he has given you a great deal of content that you can use. And so as we unpack Al's 3D Design Center content, you'll want to hold on to that because you can use those symbols in a lot of different places. And it's sort of, it's like anything else. You want to collect all these different content aspects that allow you to create your own style. And so if you're somebody who does high-end kitchen appliances, you'll find that you should be able to get these CAD models of those. And then as we go into it, Al's got these as 3D. And so if we were to look at something like,
Joe, if you go into AutoCAD for one moment, please.
sure. Got this beautiful fire extinguisher that we can go through and render out. Got to have fire extinguishers. Might as well be 3D. And so this is some of Al's content. What else would you like me to talk about here, Al?
If you go to insert real quick, please. Give me top view. Give me top view, please. Back out a little bit. Go to insert, please. No, just click on insert, the word insert. Okay. You will see Design Center there. There we go. Design Center there.
So I usually say DC for Design Center because I can't find it under pressure. It's here in here somewhere, right, Al? Probably right around here. Insert.
That's okay. If you go over there, it says in the okay. Design Center. So see it says folder list. If you click on the folder list, please, and you want to click away from C, so you could put a minus sign next to the C colon for a minute. And then you want to go to wherever you loaded it. Where do you extend it to?
I put it into, I'll show you where I put it because I did this yesterday. And so I put this in the desktop.
Okay.
Under (2020). This is getting a little bit out there, Al. I'm going to have to come back to this, I think.
We'll come back to it afterwards. But normally when you want to find it, you find where it is, and then you can use Design Center, click it, bring it in, scale it, rotate it, and do whatever you want with it before you finish your drawing.
Right. And so it does have that element. And so if you work with these 3D files, and so I can at least find them, I can do it backwards. And so we can just look at some of this other equipment. So furnishings, casework, or furniture. Let's look at plants. And so type A plant. And then if we change our view,
You picked a two-dimensional plant.
yeah, somewhere in here. But as we go through it, there's a number of different libraries that we can go through. And so you're going to want to keep a copy of that content because there's quite a bit of interesting things that we can use in there. So that's the design center, 2D and 3D. The 2D is a lot simpler. And so when we look at the 2D element of the design center, you can use that for this exercise because everything is pretty well in the house designer or the space planner. There's some other things in here for engineers and landscape people, but if you go into the space planner, you can kind of see how you can get furniture, exercise bikes. If I go and I look at the house designer files, what we're doing is we're just managing the content. We want everybody to use the same symbols for the bathroom fixtures. All right, so with that, so that the video doesn't get too much longer, Al, is there anything else that we need to cover for this week's assignment?
No, that's about it.
Great, so I'm going to stop the video and then we're going to open things up for questions.